It's 3 a.m. You're walking in a dark alleyway, and behind you, you see a man in a black hoodie. He must be a threat. Not necessarily. He could be, but that's how you perceive him. Your perception can be very different than the reality. The reality is what a situation is. Your perception is what you think the situation is based on no evidence to say it is what you think it is. I'll explain this in more common terms. Your friend gets a new friend. You think they don't want to be your friend anymore because if they really wanted to be your friend, they wouldn't get new friends. That's your perception. The reality is your friend has other friends. You think your boyfriend or girlfriend is cheating on you because they didn't text you back for 5 hours, but the reality is they're probably taking a nap. They're probably at work. They're probably at school. There's a lot of reasons why people wouldn't text you back for 5 hours. And being too wrapped up in what we think something is can blind us from what it actually is. And that can lead to breakups, it can lead to arguments, it can lead to fights, it can lead to so many things because you're going off of what you think a situation is rather than what the situation actually is. Now, with that said, I want to get into my intro. My name's Lawrence. I'm a youth empowerment speaker, and I've spent the last 4 years specializing in helping teen and young adults build self love, confidence, and a positive outlook on life. And in addition to that, I'm an author. You can find my books below, as well as if you're a school principal, podcast host, or you run a youth focused organization. So think of YMCAs, NAMIs. If it got something to do with the betterment of teens and young adults, email me below. Now, moving on. Why is it so important that we know how to distinguish our perception from reality? You meet somebody and they're nice to you, and you think, oh my God, this is going to be my husband, this is going to be my wife. You get so wrapped up in your perception and what you think this is going to be, rather than focusing on what's right in front of you, what it is. And on the harsh side, I'll use that. The harsh, dangerous side is you think someone's good for you when they're not. You think someone's bad for you when they're not. You misinterpret their words because you filter it through your perception rather than what's actually being conveyed. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, Lawrence, but people could say one thing, mean another thing. So if you aren't sure what they mean, ask, can you clarify what exactly do you mean? And maybe your perception is right. Maybe your intuition, your gut feeling was completely right. However, there are times when it can be wrong. Now, in the example earlier of somebody walking towards you in a dark alleyway, that's obviously an extreme example. That's a situation where you want to trust the perception that this could be a dangerous person. It's better safe than sorry in that situation. But when it comes to something a family member or your girlfriend or boyfriend or somebody said to you, and you think that this is such an evil, terrible thing for them to say, they're terrible. But what if they're not? What if you just interpreted it that way? And it can be hard for us to step back from what we think a situation is and actually look at it clearly. But it's important you learn how to do this. Now, how do we do that? How do we, in the moment when we're feeling mad, when we're feeling sad, when we're angry, when we think that this person is out to get us, how do we step back and see it with a clear head? First, notice the emotion. Notice how you're feeling. Notice what they said and how that made you feel. Ask for clarification because if someone said that I don't like how you speak to me. You could interpret that as a personal attack. You could interpret that as them saying that, oh, you're so terrible and everything you do is wrong. You could interpret it that way. You perceive it like that. But the reality is they don't want to be spoken to in that way. So what you do is you notice how you're feeling, you step back from the situation, and you just look at it. Once you've calmed down, once you're less upset, once you're less sad, you look at the situation clearly and see, is my perception valid? Is there actually real evidence? Not evidence that you handpicked, but solid black and white evidence. If you don't have solid, undeniable proof to your claim, it is a good idea for you to simply ask people, what did you really mean? Why did you really say that? I am perceiving it this way. I think this is what you meant. Is this what you meant? Let me get my sip of water here. One way this often comes up that I've seen both in my own life and in the lives of others is when you're dating somebody or you like someone and they take a step away, like you don't hear from them for 2, 3 days, and you're thinking, oh, they must not like me anymore. They're pulling away, they're getting distant. So you double text them, you call, you do this, you do that, as a means of dealing with the situation based on what you perceive it to be rather than what it truly is. Because there's a lot of reasons why somebody wouldn't have texted you for 2 days. There's a lot of reasons why that could be the case. There's a lot of reasons why somebody would text you every day. There's a lot of reasons for a lot of things. But when you get wrapped up in what you think the situation is and you operate based off your perception of it rather than off the reality of it, you can find yourself chasing after somebody, trying to get a sense of validation and approval because you think that them stepping away is actually them devaluing who you are. You probably won't admit that, but deep down you're perceiving it as they don't want me anymore, they don't like me, I must not be likable. When the reality is they simply stepped away. The reality is your boyfriend has friends who are women. The reality is your girlfriend has friends who are men. Now, whether or not she cheats on you, whether or not he cheats on you, whether or not they like their friend or their friend likes them, that's that's a reality that you can only find out when you see or have direct evidence of that reality. Because it's possible that someone has purely platonic friends. That is possible. It's also possible that they're cheating. It's also possible that they're completely loyal. But if you get so wrapped up in your perception and you get stuck in what you think a situation is, it will blind you from seeing what the situation actually is. And when you're present up here, but you're not present in the reality of a thing, you will operate based on what you think it is, not on what it actually is. And this can lead people to a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, a lot of breakups, a lot of heartbreaks. A lot of things can happen when you operate based on what you think something is rather than taking a step back from, I think this is what's going on. Let me look at what it actually is. Like, let me look at the truth of this. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at, did they actually do something major? Did they actually say something major, or am I perceiving it to be that way? And when you get stuck in what you think it is, you'll make up this whole story in your head of, no, because they only spoke to me through text, that means they don't care about me. Because they looked at me a certain way, that must mean that they like me or they hate me. But the reality is, they don't like phone calls. The reality is, they don't like talking a lot. The reality is, they were looking in your general direction, but you perceived it as something more than that. You perceived it as this person staring at me, when the reality is, they are looking in your direction. I hope you got value from this, because this is definitely a bit of a different topic. But earlier today, I realized that it can be very helpful to put this message out there and let people know, just because you think a situation is a certain way does not necessarily mean it is that way. And you need to learn how to take a step back from what you think and look at what really is. Look at what that person really did, what they really said, not what you think that they said, or what you think that they did, or what you think that they will do or will be in the future. And with that said, I hope you have a wonderful, lovely day. Again, if you'd like to purchase my books, link in the description. If you are a podcast host, school principal, or run a youth organization and would like to bring me in for a speaking engagement, you can contact me at my email address below. The major topics I speak on are self-love, confidence, resilience, and building positive outlooks on life. There's a lot of different things we can dive into about my life story, about how I got into speaking, entrepreneurship. There are many things. But my key principles: self love, positive outlook on life, building confidence and resilience for teens and young adults. I hope you have a wonderful, lovely, blessed day. And if you would like to book a consultation with me, link in the description. Have a good one.